Young Justice Season 4 Phantoms was surprise released today on the HBO Max app as part of the bigger DC fandom celebrations, and we got not just one, but two brand new episodes. And if this just so happens to be your first time watching, my name is Cape Jewel, and this is the video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, as well as shouting out any comic book Easter eggs or references I can find. So with that out of the way, let's do it to it, shall we? So then, the first brand new episode was entitled Inhospitable, and it actually picks up some storylines left over from the end of the previous season, mainly the relationship status of Connor and Megan. As you might recall, Miss Martian helped defeat Granny Goodness by using her psychic power in a way that kinda sorta opened up a bunch of old wounds for her fiancé Connor. Connor, we discover, is also finalizing plans to join the Outsiders team, no doubt in an effort to keep his promise to Double X and the rest of the Cadmus genomes to better represent them as a whole. At first, it seems like these two might not be able to balance their life choices and their romance, but thankfully their love is strong enough, and flash forward a year and they're ready for a big wedding tour, starting with a religious service on Mars and a more civil service on Earth. I know the show jumping forward in time every new season is still something of a bone of contention amongst the fan base, but for what it's worth, I think the writers have found a nice happy medium now by only moving things up a single year. We can see that Snapper Carr's home in Happy Harbor, Rhode Island has only gotten more full. He married that lady cop from the last season, and he appears to have taken in Harper Row and her brother Cullen, no doubt to get them away from their abusive deadbeat father. No word yet on if Harper has fully embraced the Bluebird superhero identity yet, but hanging out with all of these other heroes, I'm sure it's only a matter of time if she hasn't. Megan and Connor plan to take a family trip to Mars, Mars, as part of the big Martian wedding festivities. This means Beast Boy gets to tag along too, as he is quite literally a blood brother to Miss Martian. Garfield also seems to want to give the Earth some distance, as his own relationship with the princess has hit the skids following Brion's turn to the dark side and the destabilization of that part of the world as of last season. Also, I joked last season about Young Justice trying to pinch every penny they could by looking for every excuse to have the characters' mouths covered so they didn't have to animate the flaps. Well, hats off to them for very cleverly setting these first two episodes on Mars, a place where everyone communicates telepathically anyway, so yeah, no mouth flaps for anybody. Now, in a nice bit of visual storytelling, I like that Megan's new assumed form for this season is a cool combination of all of her past forms. Like the last year, she really found herself and came into the truest version of herself. A trip to Mars also means we get to finally meet Miss Martian's often mentioned but never actually seen extended family, including her super scientist sister, of whom she clearly has a very heated rivalry with. We also get a fun little callback to the fact that Megan's human form was quite literally just her appropriating the image of Gar's mother from the old Hello Megan TV show. And not to be one up, Megan's sister decides to take the form of Rita from that old TV show, aka Rita Farr of the Doom Patrol, aka Gar's godmother. As we quickly find out, all is not well on Mars. The audience already knew that there was a caste system in place here, but it seems that racial tension and even violence is at an all-time high between the white and green Martians. In fact, in a nice unexpected twist, we discover in this episode that Megan's parents are themselves a white and green Martian, respectively. The scene with the parents is great too, because they end up doing a ton of heavy lifting and dropping a bunch of tasty lore and mythology for fans to chew on. The fact is, DC is always changing and retconning what the deal is with the Martians in the comics anyway, so the show goes out of its way to try and create its own thing, and I like what they do here. Basically, there's the green Martians, like John Jones. They're the ethnic minority on the planet. The white Martians are the ethnic minority, and not evil by default as they are in certain continuities. There's also the very far less seen yellow Martians, who in this universe are said to be the sorcerer priests. And lastly, we have the rare red Martians, the original Martians for this show, in case you were wondering, who are actually the ruling class. Genetically, all the Martians are exactly the same, and because they're all shapeshifters, they can all look like however they want to look like, but that still doesn't mean that racism and prejudice isn't a big problem on Mars. As it turns out, the old red Martian king was actually quite a progressive and was trying to diffuse tensions between all the different castes. The only problem is he was mysteriously murdered, and his successor isn't quite nearly as open. His death was also highly suspicious, as because Mars is a planet where everyone can basically hear everyone else's thoughts all the time, murders don't happen that much. Megan, with pretty good reason, casts blame at the feet of her brother and white Martian Martian agitator Mala Alpha-Ak. You'll remember last season he was actually working with Darkseid to try and start a war between Forager's people and the people of New Genesis. Another major factor in these first 2 episodes is our heroes being stalked by mysterious onlookers with special rings, and if you're a comic reader like me, you already know that those belong to the Legion of Superheroes, costumed crime fighters from the far-flung future. We only meet 3 members of the actual Legion this episode. There's Saturn Girl, who pretty much looks like how she always looks like, but Phantom Girl and Chameleon Boy have actually been given fairly significant redesigns to make them look a lot more alien. I dig them though, I think they're cool designs. Now all these different tensions end up coming to a major head during the test of the first ever Martian Zeta Tube. John Jones, the Martian Manhunter himself, is doing the honors on top of also stopping a minor race riot before it starts. Too bad as he ends up going through the tube, a massive explosion ends up tearing through the area in what was clearly meant to be an act of sabotage by someone who doesn't want Mars building better relationships with Earth. This of course all leads us into episode 2 of the season entitled Needful, where the team has to put their heads together to find out who almost tried to kill John. It's actually kind of fun to see Superboy and Beast Boy do their best to solve this crime without the help of the normal detective friends like Batman or Robin. Eventually this investigation grows even larger when Prince Gem enlists the two to try and help him find out who killed his father, and I mean really, who better than humans, right? Martians don't kill each other all the time, but humans kill each other all the time. They're always investigating it. All that being said, the number one suspect is still of course Megan's brother, even though the evidence doesn't really gel. This leads to probably my favorite scene in the whole 2-episode pack, wherein Megan confronts her brother about his fall to the dark side since she's been away. Mala Alpha-Ak, in a surprise twist, actually blames her, saying that they were the only 2 white Martians in their family, and when Megan left, he felt abandoned because he loved her so very much. Hell, he even seeks to imply that all their other brothers and sisters aren't coming to the wedding out of some kind of prejudice, either for her as a white Martian or for her husband for being human. It's some pretty painful and cutting stuff. I feel we actually learn a lot more about Magan in this scene, saying that she needed to leave Mars because she was feeling so stifled, and that if she stayed, there's a good chance she could very well have ended up like her brother here. There's an even better scene for character growth too, when Megan has the chance to actually reach inside Mala Alpha-Ak's mind and take the information she wants by force, only she decides not to do it because she's come a long way and learned a lesson about that kind of stuff in previous episodes. Now, if all of this new stress wasn't enough, Connor and Megan are still trying to plan a wedding and everything that goes with it, while also dealing with Beast Boy's worsening mood swings. And let's not forget some mysterious shadow individual that the Legion is after, who's also trying to kill them as well. It's around this time too in the episode we discover that so much time away from Earth's yellow sun has left Connor greatly weakened, meaning that when it all pops off again, they won't have a full-fledged Superboy to help them out. And pop off again it shall. As the episode comes to a close, Mala meets up with Darkseid henchman Desaad to receive a bioweapon capable of killing all non-white Martians on Mars. This is some pretty dark shit right here, not the least of which because of the whole ethnic cleansing overtones, but also the fact that we've met Mala's mom and she's green. Meaning that this dude is such a far-gone radical, he would happily kill the woman who gave birth to him, and maybe even himself too, given the fact that he is born of 2 different color Martian parents. Even Desaad, a guy who works for Darkseid torturing people and whose name is a reference to the Marquis Desaad, the guy for whom the term sadism is named after, thinks he's out of his frickin' mind. And believe it or not, everyone, it's on that cliffhanger right there the episode comes to an end. And so that was the first 2 episodes of Young Justice Season 4, and I gotta say, they got things off to a pretty good start. One of the bigger complaints I heard about last season is that the show got so big, so quickly, with so many characters and storylines all jockeying for position. It felt like the original cast, aka the characters that people fell in love with in the first place, kinda sorta got lost in the shuffle. Well, I'm happy to say that this season looks to be trying to do stuff differently by telling smaller, more personal stories featuring OG members of the Young Justice team. I like the whole murder mystery vibe they got going on here. They do a good job setting up all the problems and several characters that could very well be behind it all. The Legion stuff is certainly cool and looks to be the thing that's going to be tying this season together. I have to wonder if we'll be taking a trip to the future or if we'll just be seeing more people from the future coming back in time. It's also just kind of nice to see Connor and Megan continue to grow as people and take their relationship and their lives to that next big level. It's certainly rewarding if you've been watching the show from the very beginning. And you know what, that'll just about do it for me for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you're always up to speed when the next new Young Justice episode drops. And until then, everyone, bye-bye.